Ahoy there, Captain Benzie here, coming at you with another guide for Eve Echoes. Now, this time around, I kind of wanted to answer a question I've been asked fairly frequently during this beta, and that is, how much do skills really matter? And so this video is just going to touch on that briefly, have a look at some different skills and how they actually affect what you're doing in the game, and we'll kind of look at how necessary these things are for different things that you want to do in Eve Echoes. Now, before we continue, of course, do look on screen now. You should see that there are links to my social media, my Twitter, Facebook, that kind of thing. Do come join me on all of those. I would be super happy for to interact with any of you guys. I love reading your comments. I love chatting to you guys in-game, so do feel free to get some details. I'll put my character details on screen now if you want to send me messages. Always happy to chat. Anyway, folks, let's jump right in on this one and have a look at how important skills really are. So what we have in front of us here is a Rifter. Now this is a fresh out of the market Rifter. As you can see here, it is equipped with civilian autocannons, civilian shield, and civilian warp drive. All these kind of things, just the basic, this is how it rolls off the market. Now what I'm going to look at here are things like the 31.04 DPS. Now that is here with using just civilian 200mm autocannons, and you can see that it's doing fairly respectable DPS for an off-the-shelf Rifter. You know, you can't complain too much about that. But if we now go into my inventory and I grab an equally off-the-shelf Executioner, I have just purchased this thing. We're going to dock into this one now and have a look. See how this one looks stat-wise. So again, here we have the Executioner coming into my station now. Still not a fan of Amar ships, but there we go, I'm proving a point here. Now, it's still all the civilian equipment, the standard starting equipment for an Amari ship. And you'll see here that the DPS that I'm getting off this thing is only 22.42 DPS. Why the difference? You'd assume that both of these ships have 2 high slots and 2 low slots, no mid slots, nothing else special. You know, you look at the stats and that on them, and they're just fairly basic. You know, this gives you plus 8% small energy turret damage and plus velocity. And if we were to have a look at the, I know I keep going the long way into the inventory. If we were to have a look at that Rifter, you can see it's small projectile turret and velocity. They've got very similar abilities and stats on these two ships. What the big difference there is in my own skills. Now if I jump through to skills, tap in the top right here to get the full overview, and then go to weapon technology. You'll see that under projectile turrets, I've got small projectile turret operation all the way at 5 and advanced to 4, with small projectile turret upgrade nearly at 5 as well. Now these skills, if we tap into them, you see small projectile turret damage is currently, small projectile turret upgrade is currently giving me an additional 12% projectile turret damage and 10% of the accuracy fall off. The small projectile is giving me 20% damage, 10% tracking speed, 10% optimal range, and then an additional 8%, 7%, 5%, and all of that here for the advanced small projectile turret operation. So I've got a lot of skills in projectile turrets, especially the small ones. Those small projectile turrets I get big boosts to, and that does a huge amount of damage. If we have a look at the energy ones, you can see I'm only sitting down here at a plus 8% on small energy turrets. With 2% tracking speed. I haven't even bothered to unlock small energy turret upgrade. You see here I'd have to purchase it. 38,000 disc isn't much, but I don't use energy weapons, so there's no point in me learning that skill. But you can see there the difference in those particular skills and how that affects my ships. Now this means that when I come to something like a Thrasher 2, which here you can see 50% additional small projectile turret damage, not only here the small projectile turret operation bonus, not only am I getting all those bonuses for small projectile turret operation that you saw, I'm also getting an additional 12% damage per level, an additional 8% tracking speed per level. So if we set this thing as active, my Thrasher 2, my much beloved Thrasher 2, I have a lot of fun with this thing out in space, and I jump through to the fitting here, check out the DPS there, 270 DPS. That is an insane, and that is just using, okay, it's their Mark V autocannons. That's not howitzers anymore. I've gone down to autocannons because I wanted to be a little bit closer range so that I can get that energy Nosferatu off. And yes, I am going to do a video on tackling later as well, covering things like the energy Nosferatu and warp drives and all that kind of thing. But ultimately what I want to get at here is, yes, you can see that the skills have made a huge difference in this case. And it's the same when it comes to, like, I've had a couple of people say to me, hey Benzie, I saw your Thrasher 2 video, I've been watching that, I tried to do that exact setup, I'm not getting as much DPS as you are. That's why, because I've got those skills trained really, really high for small projectile turrets. I'm focused pretty much on small projectile turrets. I did have another guy ask me, Benzie, you know, I tried this exact Thrasher 2 setup, I can't actually fit everything to the ship, what's going on? Now that also is thanks to a skill. So if we go back into skills, back into the full tech tree, and into cruising technology, I'm sure it's under cruising technology, I'm going to find out if I'm wrong here. We've got the frigate and destroyer commands, yes I have gone to the wrong one. Give me a second, I've got to find where this is. There we are, under electronics. Yeah, I don't plan these videos very well, do I? Here, under electronics, we have destroyer engineering. Now you'll see destroyer engineering, I've pushed all the way to level 5, giving me an additional 25% capacitor, additional 25% power grid output, and a negative to the destroyer warp activation cost, which is really cool. That gives me a bigger capacitor and a bigger power grid. And I've actually taken that all the way up here into advanced destroyer engineering to really push that capacitor and the power grid to the biggest that I could in order to be able to fit those things on there. Now, of course, this also I've got here for frigates, and I have started it for cruisers as well, just to keep on top of those. Under things like your maintenance technology, my shields, again, you can see here, are going to go faster, and, you know, a lot of these things you can really benefit with. But this one here, I sat down and I worked out the 3 turrets that I wanted to equip and all the gear I wanted to shove on it. I couldn't fit on their standard, so I shoved destroyer engineering all the way to maximum. Now that actually brings me to the next skill that I want to go over and just showcase that skills can be really important, and that is my Imicus High Mobility. This is a new ship that I've picked up because I want to do some hauling, and yes, there is a hauling video on the way to showcase this. Let's set this bad boy as active. I'm not a fan of how the Imicus looks either, but there we go, it is a fantastic starting hauler ship. Now, if I open up the Imicus High Mobility here and look at its delivery hold, you'll see that mine has a rather unusual 9,900 meters cubed. Is that unusual, I hear you say? Well, yes, if I go to the ship hangar, Imicus High Mobility, and then actually have a look here, you can see, as I said, mine is 9,900. The reason I say that's unusual is if we go straight to the market and we look at an Imicus High Mobility there, you might spot something unusual. So let's wait for this to load, go to ship, industrial ships, Imicus High Mobility, let's scroll down. Look at that delivery hold capacity. Do you see the difference? This here is a standard 9,000 meters cubed. Now, if we look up here, delivery hold capacity, logistics management bonus per level, plus 5% delivery hold capacity. If I now go to my skills and look at what I'm training, you might have an idea why I'm doing it. Of course, I'm going to go over this in the logistics video, but there we are. I'm currently logistics management level 2. Logistics management level 3 will take that up to another 5%. This is ultimately because I want to be doing some logistics stuff that I need at least 10,000 meters cubed of hold space. Now, as you saw, the Imicus itself, this thing only starts with 9,000 meters cubed in hull space. But because of the ability there to, under logistics management bonus per level, every level I have in logistics management bonus, I gain an additional 5% delivery hold capacity. That is super, super useful, because if I have that trained to level 3, suddenly the Imicus, which is a ridiculously cheap ship to get and pick up, it is big enough to carry all of what I need there. I don't need to go looking for a ridiculously expensive 10,000 meters cubed hold space ship. I have one here that I can just use my skills to get it up. Now, on the other side of skills, there's kind of people saying, like, you know, oh yeah, but I was watching a video the other day, and it mentioned that mining requires you to heavily invest your skills into. Now, I don't quite agree with that, and if we go again through to mining and we have a look at the industrial technology skills here, basically at level 5 basic mining, which isn't that much in skills, you can train that in a day, that gives you an additional 50% miner yield, And basically, no one cares about activation cost or optimal range, really. The most important thing that you're caring about is your miner yield when you're looking at your skills. Same here for advanced mining, you can up it a little bit there, and then eventually into expert mining you can continue upping that yield. That said, do you need the skill to go out there and do it? No, you just need the mining lasers. You can jump in any old ship, as I showed with a magnate, jump out in any old ship into an asteroid field, start mining, and then take the ores back and forth a little bit by a little bit by a little bit. Yes, sure, that magnate is going to fill up its hold ridiculously quickly. You're going to jump out, do a couple of minutes of mining, then you're going to have to go back and stack it, jump back out, do a couple of minutes of mining and stack it, yada 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 yada, and you're going to be jumping backward and forward. But you can mine. Now ultimately, that whole mining output thing, that's all very well and good, but think about it. If you've got a small ship, it just means you're going to fill up your hold sooner, so you're going to have to jump backward and forward quite a bit there as well. So it's kind of a double-edged sword in that sense. You mine quicker, but you do kind of get less of it. You know, you get more stuff quickly, which means you do spend a bit more time traveling backward and forward. But is that a bad thing because it means you're stocking up faster? I'll leave that up to you. It means you can't AFK mine as long. You have to be a little bit more attentive, is what I'm trying to say here, before someone goes into the comments and goes, "What the heck are you talking about, Benzie?" Anyway, so let's have a look now here at Adventure 3, because this is another one I want to discuss and look at its stats. Now, I haven't fully kitted this one out, don't worry, video coming on this one later as well. I've only recently picked this up and I want to talk about it. Now here you'll see that the ship has a 200% miner yield and +2 warp stability. Again, that warp stability I will go over in a tackling video in a minute. An advanced mining bonus per level. Here we are, miner yield and light drone damage. Ignore the light drone damage, who gives a crap? Miner duration, light drone hit points. Again, no one cares about the drones really at this point in time, but the point here is, for every level in industrial ship operation, you get -5% to the miner duration, which means that your their cycle is quicker, so you harvest faster. And every advanced mining bonus per level gives you +20% miner yield. Now do note that that is advanced mining bonus per level. That means Adventure 2 might not actually be the best ship for you to start with. Ultimately, because if you look at your skills, we're going to go back into... wrong button. We're going to go back into mining. We're going to have a look at that. Yes, Adventure, you can see, Adventure 2 requires these skills. Now, I don't have any of those skills currently. That now means that the Venture is not getting any bonuses from that particular skill because I don't have it. I'm not getting that +20% miner yield. Sure, I'm getting the 200% miner yield from the roll bonus, but I'm not getting the 20%. Let's have a look at the standard Venture. I don't actually remember how this one works, but let's have a look. There we are. This one only has 100% miner yield as it's standard, but it does get 20% miner yield from mining bonus. So from standard mining. So if you've got mining at level 5, you are going to have full there, another 100%, so that's 200% of miner yield. If you've got mining at level 5, then Adventure is going to be better than Adventure 3. If you've got if you go into advanced mining, that's when the Venture 3 suddenly starts picking up and becomes a better miner. It's important to look at your skills and understand what they're doing there. Now finally, let's have a look back into the skill tree and see if there are any others that are worth talking about here. Yes, of course there are off the top of my head, just a few I'm going to mention here. Things like, if we go into natural science, planetology. Now, planetology is a really useful one right now because this means that you're going to get more out of your mining arrays. Again, is it necessary? No, you can use mining arrays just fine without it. You're just going to have to jump back and forth a bit more often to pick it up. But also, it's worth mentioning stuff like archaeology. Now, archaeology, probe launcher activation time, probe launcher activation cost. I'm not using probes, so why on earth have I trained this skill? Simply put, because archaeology increases the size of certain things. So let's have a look. I can't remember which ship it was now off the top of my head, but archaeology, one of my ships, I actually got a bonus to its hold size. It wasn't the Amicus, was it? Am I going crazy here? No. Was it the Venture? One of these got a bonus from archaeology. I can't find it now. This is rather embarrassing. The probe. It was the probe, wasn't it? There we are. Archaeology bonus per level, plus 15% cargo hold capacity, plus 5% velocity. I was just running some basic back and forth logistics just to try some things out. Standard 1,000 meters cubed now there because I've leveled up that cargo hold capacity thanks to the archaeology skill. So when you're looking into stuff like this, I know I'm covering a lot of ground here, and I feel like I'm covering it fairly quickly. But the point I'm trying to get at is, sometimes you need to look at skills as, actually, this really helps me. For example, with the Thrasher 2, when I mentioned that, yes, obviously the turrets, I do more damage with my turrets. Is the damage on the turrets necessary to use the Thrasher? No. But if you want to use the loadout that I've shown you on my Thrasher, is destroyer engineering necessary? Yes. Yes it is, because it allows you to reach minimum requirements. With my Imicus high mobility, as I said, I need this thing at a 10,000 meters cubed hold capacity. It starts off at only 9,000, but by me leveling up the different skills there, once this skill at the bottom here fills, once this logistics management fills in 1 hour 21, I will have a large enough hold to carry 10,000 meter cubed containers, and that is important, as I will discuss in the hauling video when I eventually release that. It is on its way. I'm looking at doing a drone video, a hauling video, there's a couple of others. I'm going to do a video soon about loading out a Adventure 3 and Adventure, just to go over your mining, sort of your advanced next step mining video. Just bits and pieces like that. Of course, let me know in the comments section below what videos you guys want to see. I am very much community-driven content here. I make the videos I want to make, but at the same time, if you guys come out and say, actually, this would be really helpful, are you going to do a video on that? Then yes, absolutely, I'm going to. There are some videos I won't do, but I will let you know in the comments if that's a video that you've suggested, and I will give a reason why I don't want to do that. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching all this way, folks. Thank you. I do hope this has been useful for you, just to explain what kind of skills might be useful for you, and what kind of skills are, you know, absolutely necessary to have for certain situations. Hopefully I've given you just a little bit of insight to have a look through the different skills and understand the difference there. Just to give you a brief recap, as I said, with the Thrasher, the projectile turret damage isn't necessary, it just makes it better at what it's doing, like with the mining yield or with ore reprocessing yield, that kind of thing. Just makes you more efficient at what you're doing. Things, however, like the destroyer engineering, if you want to go with the loadout that I've shown you on screen in the previous videos, then yes, destroyer engineering is necessary because it allows you to reach minimum requirements. Same with the Imicus when it comes to that hauling video. Anyway, thank you ever so much for watching, folks. Happy sailing, and see you in New Eden.